Who comes first? The spouse, the family, the kids, the best friend? On this segment of It's Scary to Be Married. What's up, Brave Hearts community? This is Shon Hyneman here with another segment of It's Scary to Be Married, wanting you to love fearlessly. And this topic is really for most married couples. So I'm going to talk more of in a spousal sense, because if I talk about this from just dating, boyfriend and girlfriend, I don't think it will go in this order. So I'm going to talk about more of from a marital perspective for all my married people. So who comes first? The family, the kids, the best friend. Let's talk about it. Now, I was reading a blog called thoughtcatalog.com, and they said if you aren't ready to make your spouse number one, stay single. Let me address this. Of course, being a Christian, I do believe that God should be first in your life and then your spouse. So let's make that clear. I think sometimes we can easily get caught in this shuffle of putting family first or friend or best friends or kids. And sometimes that causes issues within the marriage. So if you aren't ready to make your spouse number one, I would say just stay single until you can prioritize that. And I'm going to explain why. I was looking at another blog that on a segment of Good Morning America, some female bloggers discuss where their husbands land in their life. And this was from Good Morning America. They said their children were number one, their girlfriends were number two, and then their husband. And I found that interesting because I do believe that men order is a little different just from my perspective, the way I see things. I do believe men or husbands, I do believe they put their wife first and then their kids and then family. And that's just from my experience and just from what I've seen amongst men that I have coached. Now, let me say something to the fellas first. I do believe that if your wife isn't putting you first, the reason is because she really has this strong bond with her family. And I was looking at some of this from a website called newmiddleclassdad.com. And they talked about a wife puts her family first because she haven't set healthy, clear boundaries due to an unhealthy attachment from childhood, or she doesn't have complete trust in her husband. So as a husband, what is it that you've possibly done that betrayed her trust? Or maybe she just don't feel like you're that safe space with her yet. And that's the question that I would pose to husbands when it comes to being a priority in his wife's life as far as number one. Because a lot of times we don't discuss these things. They just go unsaid because of the actions that we carry. Now, with family, I do understand that, you know, your family was there before your spouse. I understand that. But with family, we're going to break this down. With family, they have their own set of issues. And at the end of the day, they're going to voice their opinion. And you should value their opinion. Now, let me say this also, because there's a lot of things I want to preface with this video, that this video really applies. And I should have said this in the beginning. This video applies for those who are in a healthy marriage, where your marriage is a healthy foundation. This isn't saying that if you are in an abusive marriage or, you know, a dysfunctional marriage or a toxic marriage, whatever you want to call it, if you're not in that good place yet, you're going to need these people to rally around you, especially like friends and family, just because you're not in a good place yet. But this is only really for those who have healthy marriages. So putting your family first will always make your spouse feel second place. And when that happens, they're going to shut down and you're not going to get their full attention. You're not going to get the best of them if you are prioritizing your family over them. And you will slowly but surely lose your spouse over time if you continually put the family your family over your spouse. And I'm saying your immediate family. I'm talking about like mom and dad and brothers and sisters that you put in front of your spouse. Your family, your inner family when it comes to husband and wife and kids, y'all should all be on the same page together. This is what helps make a healthy marriage work. Now, with that being said, with family, let's skip to friends. And I would say best friends, because best friends and friends, there's a difference, right? Best friends are great. But here's the thing with best friends. Are they married too? And if not, then they probably more than likely won't understand where you're coming from. I do believe that healthy marriages benefit when you do have married friends. So that way you all can kind of process things together and nothing seems foreign to you because you've been through this before. But when you married and then you have single friends, I'm not saying that you can't have single friends, but at the same time, sometimes misery loves company. And any mistake that your spouse make, more than likely they're happy to let you know how worthless they are, depending on your friend, right? I'm not saying that's all, but some. So you have to tread lightly. And that's one of the reasons why I do believe that best friends shouldn't come first in your marriage. And I also want to talk about this. Realize that at the end of the day, this is one reason your marriage is very vital, is because you know the ins and outs of your marriage. Y'all share everything together: the house, the mortgage, finances, cars, everything, intimacy, sex, all of these things y'all share together. So you don't want to mess that up. You don't want anything or anybody coming in between that, because once you allow someone else to come in between your marriage, that's when things start to get shaky. And if you don't get the proper help, it can really cause a lot of damage to a marriage. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about kids. And I know this is tough for any mom that's watching, because I know you love your kids. I get it. But I read a quote that said, a strong marriage is the healthiest thing you can give your kids. I read a quote from Mel Robbins, who's an author and speaker. She says, don't raise obnoxious kids. Make your kids the center of the universe. They turn into adults who think they are the center of the universe. And that was from Mel Robbins. Now, I know in my era, we grew up in an era where, well, I guess I'm telling my age, where, you know, kids were seen and not heard. And that's a different topic. Now, with today, I'm saying that with our kids, they have to be seen, they have to be heard, because there's so much stuff going on in the world that you have to be in tune with your children. So I totally understand that. But putting your kids over your marriage, that can cause a lot of damage, because once that child, boy or girl, once they start getting into relationships, or once they smell that boy, or once they smell that girl, you know, once they get that little, you know, first little hint of liking a boy or a girl, especially when they turn into teenagers, they have a tendency to leave you behind. You know, once they start driving and doing stuff for themselves, just when you thought little Johnny was your little baby, Johnny ain't little baby no more. Johnny's loving him some women now. And I know that's going to be tough for moms if you haven't been there. This is why you put your marriage first, because the kids, they're going to grow up, they're going to like people, they're going to be on their own, and you're going to be stuck at the house with your spouse by yourself. And if you put all your time into the kids, that's when your spouse is going to feel neglected. And then over time, once the kids leave, now you're looking at your spouse like, who are you? I don't know who you are, right? And it's because you invested so much time into the kids and not into your marriage. I do believe that if the mom and dad, if the husband and wife is good, then you can be able to help the kids, right? Then you can develop a healthy marriage for your kids, so they can have that healthy example. So when they're older, they can talk about good things about mom and dad, because y'all showed love to each other. Y'all displayed what a healthy marriage looks like. According to Focus on the Family, it says, when the family falls apart, so does the kids. Children from broken homes. And again, I'm not saying that if you're a single mom that, you know, this is your child, or if you're a single dad, this is your child. Statistically, just from Focus on the Family, says children from broken homes have a higher rate of academic problems, promiscuity, teen pregnancy, alcohol and drug abuse, emotional and behavioral problems, violence, suicide, and poverty as an adult. So prioritize your marriage. You want to make sure that your kids grow up in a healthy environment, but at the same time, I do believe that start with the mom and the dad being happily married. One of the reasons I went through my divorce was because I realized that my marriage wasn't healthy for my children, that I was doing more hurt to them than help because I was in an unhealthy marriage. Her and I were both in an unhealthy marriage. So I hope that was able to help someone. Make sure you share this video with a friend. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate the love, Brave Hearts community. You have been showing so much love. I appreciate it. Make sure if you don't have time to watch this on a video, you can also listen to this in audio form on Anchor, or you can hear it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, make sure you leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts as well. Or if you're watching the video, leave a comment there. I would love to hear from you on this topic on Who Comes First. This is Shon Hyneman at It's Scary to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. Take care, people.